Summertime and the living here is easy. Fish, they are jumping and the curtain is high. Your daddy's rich and your mama is good looking. So hush, little baby, don't you cry. One of these days you are gonna rise up singing with mommy and daddy by your side.
Every road we travel along the north shore of Nova Scotia holds the story of a new mother starting out with her baby. It's a fragile and beautiful time that's filled with hope, joy, and new experiences. It's also a time where the learning curve is high for the family as they adjust to their new life together.
For the past 8 years in Tatamagouche, Nova Scotia, a breastfeeding support group has been established to help normalize the breastfeeding experience and create a climate of support for mothers.
Over time, Tatamagouche has become a breastfeeding-friendly culture. This is a community that families want to live in because so much support exists.
I noticed that women are breastfeeding here, and one thing I notice is when I go to places like Truro or Halifax, that's when I suddenly feel self-conscious about breastfeeding in public, because I don't notice it to be as normal there. Here, and maybe it's just that I have a circle of friends who are doing that, but here there is support and I feel confident nursing her even still.
For the past year, local businesses and public places like the Lillian Fraser Memorial Hospital have welcomed the Make Breastfeeding Your Business program. Owners and staff are met with and trained about the rights of the nursing mother. They are taught ways to assist and accommodate her and given strategies on how to deal with difficult situations. Business owners are also taught how they can best support staff who are breastfeeding as they prepare to come back to work. Ultimately, the Make Breastfeeding Your Business program has helped to create a welcoming culture of breastfeeding in this community.
I think it's important that the town is becoming breastfeeding friendly, because that way new moms will feel more encouraged to breastfeed their babies, and women who are not mothers yet will have that exposure to mothers who are feeding their children, and then it will become more, a thing that's more normal than not.
These days, hospital stays are short after the birth of a new baby. Women often return to their home by the second day of their child's life. Often they leave the hospital before their milk comes in. The way we build upon breastfeeding support in our community is through connections that are made with the mother during her pregnancy.
Prenatal classes are offered to focus on pain management and partner support. The person who is assisting the mother in her labor is given a toolkit, which is a bag of tricks that her partner can use to ease her pain. Giving the labor supporter these tools helps to connect the couple and empowers the partner.
We try to make a special effort to invite the husbands and partners to these prenatal sessions, largely because we think that they often hold the key in determining whether the breastfeeding experience is going to be successful or positive. And really what we try to do is we try to offer husbands and partners some real tangible examples of how they can be both a supportive partner to the breastfeeding mother, but at the same time develop some real attachment to their child. Oftentimes it is the husband partner who will unintentionally undermine breastfeeding, mainly because they don't want to see their partner in pain, and early on breastfeeding can be painful. But often they feel like they're not connecting to the child. And so things like reading to the child, creating a bedtime routine, bathing, diaper changing, those are real tangible ways that a father can really connect to the child. Another aspect that we try to emphasize is sort of what we call the baby moon phase, and it's the period before the child arrives. And it really gives an opportunity for husbands, partners with their expectant mothers to connect, to strengthen their relationship, knowing full well that when the child arrives that there's going to be more stressful time, less time for intimacy, less time to develop the relationship. And so putting that effort before the child is born gives him that strength to go through the stressful times.
It's like a wave crashing. So she might say, my contraction's starting, and you start your hands moving up with the contraction.
I just thought prenatal classes were important because this being my first child, I thought that I felt kind of ill-prepared and didn't know what to expect, and so I wanted just a perspective of what would be going on and some ways to cope with that and just some strategies. And it's nice to have somebody who's been there before who can kind of talk you through it.
Well, and the best part about us, our group, like Tatamagouche, is like the fact that we have our prenatal ahead, that we know the people that are doing the prenatals, not just nurses that are coming from a hospital, and then the same people that you work with doing prenatal, you go and you can call them at any point when you get home or in the hospital, and they'll come and help you figure out your breastfeeding as well. So you're already comfortable with them and they're friends, and you know you're loved by them.
Mothers-to-be go through a how-to breastfeed class where we discuss the atmosphere in their home and practical hints of information that they can use in order to help avoid problems.
Because of the breastfeeding meetings, there's a foundation of information and knowledge. So first of all, the women here are being educated. They know how important it is to breastfeed and why you should breastfeed. And then when there's problems, there's help and support. Or even if it's not problems, I've had plugged ducts and mastitis and continue to have plugged ducts, and now I don't even need to call anyone to help me with that because I know how to deal with it on my own, and I've never had to go to the hospital, and I've never had it be a serious problem.
The pregnant mother is encouraged to join the monthly breastfeeding support group in order to watch newborns breastfeed, and so that they can connect to other women in the community.
As far as the group went, my involvement with the breastfeeding group in Tatamagouche, I had to be convinced to attend, and I was a little bit reluctant to go because I had not experienced any problems, and so getting support for something that to me at the time was fairly natural seemed unnecessary. So a couple of people talked to me and said, no, you really will enjoy it and you'll really benefit in other ways of parenting. So I went and I loved it, and I loved being in the company of other mothers who are at the same stage that I was, and you don't just end up talking about breastfeeding, although you certainly do talk about that. You talk about all the other things that go on with parenting. You get a chance to say, I had a really hard night last night, or I had a really hard week last week, and you're in the company of other women who will nod their heads knowingly and tell you that they've experienced that too, and they're all still there, and they're there to support you, and if you need them, they'll be there for you. So you can also benefit from being a mentor to other people. I didn't have any problems with actually nursing, but I was able to give a little bit of advice to some people who were, among with the other women that were in attendance as well. So we all get to pool our knowledge, and we all get to support each other. We put in and we take away, so it's like a bank of experience and support. And and it's nice to come out of that room feeling like there's a bond with the other women and their babies in there.
At first, when I was first going to the group, you do the whole feeding before you go out, so you don't have to do it there, because it's easier to do it in your own home and to get them latched and everything. But then after a while, it was just kind of, yeah, no, I don't need to feed them before I leave, you know, and it got easier, a lot easier. After 3 months, it was easy. And now I wouldn't change it, and it's 10 times easier now than if he was, if I was trying to do bottles and that. Now that I know how to do it, it's easy. Easy. I'm glad we stuck with it, huh?
By the time we enter the home, a personal relationship is established and a sense of trust has been built.
Breastfeeding support here feels really real, and it feels totally full of passion. Like, the people who are doing it because they want women to breastfeed. They see the importance, and yeah.
Typically, we come within the first day that the mother is home from the hospital. Day or night, any day of the week, whenever we're needed. Usually, we come across very simple problems or issues. These are easy to fix if you catch them in the early days. We often tell mothers that the baby's okay, but getting the mother out of pain by correcting a latch and getting a more efficient feed is actually our main priority. We then follow up with the mother with further visits and then by phone, just to check in and see how she's doing. In the early days, I had a really hard time. It was very painful, and his latch was very poor. He had a small mouth and he didn't want to open it. And to get through it, they had a really good support breastfeeding group here, and they were able to come into my house. I called them all the time. As soon as I had a new issue or a problem, I was on the phone and they came and helped me, and if it wasn't for that, I would have probably gave up long ago.
Isolation is a huge challenge for new mothers. Carving out a place for women to go so that they have a space to share their stories and learn from others' experiences helps to build confidence and helps to normalize the first year of parenting.
So originally, when I was thinking of breastfeeding, I didn't realize all the nutritional values that went along with it. So I guess just did a little more reading and realized how beneficial it was for, the baby, and how important it is to remember everything that you eat is coming out in your breast milk, so it affects their system too. And then, just kind of thinking about how much better, breast milk is compared to formula. I think some people have a misconception of formula. They think it's actually better than breast milk, which is kind of crazy. But I think that's kind of the world that we live in right now. Everything is, man-made is better, right? But breast milk is so natural and it's so much better for your baby. I don't think everyone really realizes that. But it kind of goes beyond that too. Like, you have to think of what you're eating. And then not only that, but when you start introducing solids to your baby, like what they're eating. And, you want to think about, GMOs and non-GMO food. And it's just so much information, but I don't think that everyone is aware of it. And it's really important, I think, to educate people on that. A new mother may enter the breastfeeding support group and feel self-conscious, but quickly they're welcomed and you can see how they begin to relax and enjoy the casual atmosphere. Some of the topics that the mothers explore throughout the year range from issues like how to cope with lack of sleep, how to calm a fussy baby, how to find time for self-care, nutrition for both mother and baby, and making links to other support that exists in the community. The more that's going on for mothers and families in the community, the greater their sense of belonging. If things are happening, it gets you out. You find networks of support, and this directly impacts how good you feel.
I have 3 children, and my youngest child is 2.5, and I have older boys. I had a 6 and 8-year-old boy at the time, and life was busy, and when I nursed my little girl, that was a time to have quiet time with baby and to have all of my attention focused on her and to draw her into my arms and have And she's a fighter and a kicker usually, and she's on the move as much as the boys are on the move, and it was a time to be still and cuddle and touch, and she'd slip her hand across my belly, and it was a really intimate time with her that was just mommy and baby.
I think it took me between 1 year and 2 years to really slow it down and get almost to the position where I could wean my kids, because we were just into a rhythm. And you know, I was slower at giving them real food, so it was just an easier thing for me to do, is just to do slow weaning. So it usually take between 1 year and 2 years. And it was just important to me to keep going. It made things easy. It made life at home easy, and being able to go, you always had your source of food for your child to comfort them in different situations, or through sicknesses, through teething, all those things. I sort of, you know, would use it as a comfort measure more so than just a food measure between 1 and 2 years.
We do a lot of our shopping now local because it's so important to us to make sure that our food is, you know, kind of the best quality. So we really try to buy everything we can, you know, from meat to veggies to everything. You know, either we try to grow it ourselves or buy from somebody that we know, which I think is really important, and I don't think people really think about that when it comes to breastfeeding and when it comes to feeding their babies. It's just so important to give them the best food for their systems.
Tatamagouche is a small place, so there's big impact from the efforts that have been made.
The support here, it comes from a place of love. So these women come into your house, or you know, you go to the meetings, and there is love and care there. You feel totally looked after in every way, and I don't feel intimidated or scared to call somebody in the middle of the night even. I know that there's care there for me whenever I need it.
Why are breastfeeding rates so high here? I think it's simply connections and time spent with mothers. Fast access to help before you need it. Normalizing the experience through our stories and having the wisdom of other mothers who have already gone through the breastfeeding experience. Ongoing social support systems. Prenatals that build on the confidence of the labor supporter and ease the birth experience. And building on the community support that exists.
I had never been to Tatamagouche, as terrible as that is, but to go into something, no, but like to find a space like this, a geographical space like this, and the type of people that are here and just what's going on, it's just been, it's inspirational actually. And it's wonderful to know that some of the stuff that you read academically and you know from your own experience, you actually see it coming like this in a community like this. It's unbelievable. And all the critical questions that I've always had from a researcher perspective have, you know, you see it here.
Tatamagouche is a unique community that has a distinct culture. Possibly this uniqueness has developed because of its isolation from larger centers. The benefit of being far away from support is that you have to get creative in order to carve out what you need to make for a higher quality of life. The Breastfeeding Support Group is just one example of what this small village offers. The traditional way of making it yourself is alive and well here.
by the river for you to come in the water, steady as she goes, pass me by.
Goodbye, baby, on the TikTok, when the wind blows, they will walk, when the puppets, they will walk, down the dumpy, da. It's my beat!